Hello there. I haven't done a knife sharpening video in a long time. One of the main reasons was I'm not sure I have a whole lot more I can teach, but also I don't have any new knives, I don't have any new stones, and I'm not asking anybody for anything. So understand that. But I just wonder how interesting someone just passing a blade over a stone, you know, the same blades over and over again, the same stones over and over again. I just wonder, you know, how interesting that is, and whether, you know, you can grow doing that and a bunch of other things. And so I stopped doing them because I just felt like, you know, I didn't know where they were going. I didn't know if people would still want to watch them. So before we get started, what I'm going to ask you is, listen, those of you that watch my sharpening videos, do you care whether it's the same knives and the same stones over and over again, or are you just interested in watching a blade pass over a stone? I know that there are people like that, because I'm one of those. I could watch the same videos over and over again of different people because I just like watching, looking at the stone and the blade passing over it and stuff like that. So if that's the case, you know, I may start making more of these. I don't have any clue. But right now, this is my Norton, hold on, fine and coarse fine bench stone. This stone, I recommend this stone to beginning knife sharpeners. If you're looking for a stone that will serve you for a long time, I mean probably till the day you die, actually, and that will put a great edge on your knife, you really don't need anything more than this stone. If you don't want to spend a whole lot, this stone is like under 25 bucks, I think. It may have gone up since the last time I looked, but it's under like 25 bucks, or was the last time I looked. This was a gift from a friend, so I didn't even pay that. And we have some high winds, and I'm hearing thunder. I don't know if it's going to come over this video or not, but that's, if you hear thumping and stuff going on, that's what's going on. I got like tree limbs smacking the trailer or whatever because of the wind. But anyway, you'll see me on this channel use higher grit or higher polishing stones, because I have the stones and I enjoy using them. But for 95% of the stuff people use a knife for, this combination stone right here does just fine. So I have some soapy water, and I'm going to wet that. This is my Kershaw, I believe this is called a filter. So we're going to just do what we normally do on this channel. We're going to pass this blade over this stone until we get a burr on this side of the blade. Then we're going to flip it over and turn that burr to the other side. So, how's everybody been? I got a little bit of a bug right now. I've had for a couple of days, but I'm not hacking or coughing like I was yesterday, so I figured it was safe to do this. And just from a teaching perspective, if you're new to sharpening knives, what we're doing here is we're practicing something called a burr method. The burr method. And what it is it's one of the most basic knife sharpening techniques out there. I would venture to say that literally probably millions of people, particularly my age and older, learned how to sharpen using this method. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this blade and I'm laying it on, I'll lay it flat on the stone and I'll tilt it up until I see that edge touch the stone. That tells me I have the angle that I'm looking for. And then I'll take this stone and this knife and I'll pull it along the stone. When I get to where I think I need to start sharpening this edge, what I'll do is I won't do one of these numbers with my wrist. I'll come down the stone and raise my wrist up till that hits the stone the way I want it to. If you do one of these numbers, what you'll do is you'll end up reshaping this part of the tip, and or you'll have a really even bevel here, and then it'll get really fat here and thin back out toward the tip, and it's just none of that's necessary. And you will get used to finding that edge, laying, they say 22 to 25 degree angle. I just naturally lay a knife at a certain angle, and I'm used to finding that angle, and that comes with time on a stone, time sharpening. But what you're doing is you're bringing this blade along and sharpening on it, and what you want to do is sharpen on this edge until you end up with a burr that you can feel. Once you do, you know that you've reground that all the metal. You have a fresh edge all the way to the very edge of that knife on this side, and then you would flip it over, find that angle, do the same thing on this side until you got a burr on that side. And that way you know there's a piece of metal falling off of there. I might be getting a fine burr that I'm not really picking up. I don't know. But we're going to keep cutting until I know. Anyway, what you end up with is you have refined what's known as the very apex, the point at which you have the finest edge, the fine edge that cuts on your knife, on this blade. You have refined that to a point where it's as fine as you can get it with the stone that you have, that you're using. And that way you know. If you use this method, the reason I teach this method is because it's basically foolproof. If you get that burr on this side, and then you flip the knife over and you get that burr on this side, and then you work the knife on the stone until you get that burr off of there, you will have a razor sharp edge, period. There won't be any question of it. And there's nothing, in my opinion, that breeds success like success. And if you can do this, and you can, everybody can, anybody can, a blind man could. You could feel that edge with your finger. You don't have to see any of that. Okay? If you can do this, then you will be really, really encouraged. And before long, your edges will get better and better and better, because you'll be succeeding, and that will make you want to come and sharpen a knife. Now, you notice when I first started out, I was sharpening. I would take this thumb. Well, that helps me to feel that edge is on the stone. Okay? I don't do it any more than I have to. Lovely. Because I want you to be able to see. But the thing with it is do what you have to do to get the edge that you're looking for. And don't worry about it. But you see, I'm staying on this side now, because I want to turn that burr over to the other side. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is flip this over to the fine side. And I'm going to come alternating with very little pressure, because what I want to do now is flip that burr back and forth along the edge. I don't know if you can see it or not, but where you see that bare spot, and you can see hair being shaved off the back of my arm, and I have not even completely removed the burr yet. That's the burr more than anything else cutting. But the thing of it is, what you're doing is you're trying to bend that burr back and forth to each side of the edge until basically it breaks off. And that will leave you with a highly refined edge. And I'm moving a lot faster than you should in the beginning, but I'm used to this and have been sharpening this way in one form or another since I was a little boy. So this is not anything. So I already have my technique down. As a beginner, you'll have to work on your technique until you get it, but you'll get it really fast. Beautiful. you'll get it really fast. It won't be an issue. Now I can take this now and I can use this no problem. That's as sharp as I want it, but you can go one step further. This is what's known as a strop. They come in various designs. This is just a block of mahogany that I put some leather on top and put what's known as a chromium oxide paste. If you go down to Harbor Freight in the buffing section where they sell buffing wheels and stuff like that, you'll see a 2 or 3 different tubes. One of them will be green, one of them will be white, the other I think is black. And they just have what looks like a crayon in them. Get the green. It's a chromium oxide paste. It's 0.5 micron, I believe is what it is. And you would take the knife, edge trailing because you don't want to cut into it. Okay, that will polish the edge up just a bit finer, but I'm not going to do, I would do like 30 passes on something like that. But what I'm actually going to do, remember I said finer stones sometimes? Well, I have this stone. It's a Arkansas, a black Arkansas. It's a gorgeous stone. It's absolutely gorgeous to sharpen on. And I'm going to take this edge and polish it out on this stone. Now, like I said, you don't actually need it for most of the things that you will do with a knife. And there are going to be people that will say that the steel on this knife is too soft to really be appreciative of the refinement that this stone will give. But first of all, it don't matter to me. First of all, second of all, last of all, it doesn't matter to me. The stone is beautiful, and part of the joy for me when it comes to sharpening is not just to put a sharp edge on a blade so that I can use it. Yes, that's the goal, because that's what they're for. They're tools meant to cut. But part of the joy for me is just passing a blade, the feel and the sound, the sensation of passing that blade across that stone. That's part of one of the biggest parts of the joy in this for me. So, and if you're into knives, and if you're in, you ought to carry a knife, a small pocket knife with you. They come in useful in ways that you really never even realize until you get to a point where you have to use them. And the thing of it, or you need them, and the thing of it is, lovely, gorgeous. That's a really fine edge. The thing of it is, a lot of times you don't realize how useful a blade like that can be, a nice sharp blade, until you start carrying one around, and then you find reasons and situations where you might do something else otherwise, but because you have the knife, it just makes sense to use it, and it's pleasant to use and all of that jazz. So I mean, you know, when I was a boy, every man had a pocket knife. And most of the women had a pocket knife, or a knife they carried around in their purse, or some such like that. Of course, oh, my Aunt Faye carried a 44 Magnum in her purse, but that's another story. But yeah, one of the things about sharpening is this is an art that is going away. We got all kinds of machines and jigs and things like that to aid in that. I'm not knocking any of that, but doing it by hand is an art. That is lovely. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you later.